Hi everyone, I welcome all the divine souls on my YouTube channel, which is Twinflame Realities. So once you have done the initial level of healing for your ancestral, whether it is about having a curse on the bloodline or a general healing you're doing for ancestors. So after that, you have to, perform every month on new moon offering ritual for your ancestors. So I have shared a video what all you can add, and that video is in the shorts where I've shared a complete video what you can offer in the offerings for your ancestors and how to prepare an altar. But reason for sharing this video today is because see, I am sharing those information related to the curse also of if a person has come in a bloodline which has been cursed. So there are several steps and several practices needs to be done to remove the curse properly, and that is again a time taking process. So initial process is to do the initial level healing, which I have already shared a detailed video. Multiple videos are being shared on that. And then the second step is to do this, perform this ritual, like, offering on every new moon. So what all things you can do in that offering and what you have to avoid initially, because see, as it is a time taking process, so you have to be careful about certain things while doing these offerings. So please do remember that you cannot make mistakes, in these when it comes about ancestral healing and offering. So if you are somebody who has not performed the initial level of healing for your ancestors, and then if you are planning to do these, offerings directly, and that too wherein when you are aware that you have come in a bloodline which has been cursed, then you will face a lot of problems. So make sure that you're not making such mistakes. This offering can only be done once you have performed the initial level of that ancestral healing. I keep fast on every new moon, and I do offerings to my ancestors on every new moon during evening time. So the food I offer is pure vegetarian food, that too without onion garlic, and you have to follow the same. So I'm actually aware about Western culture, wherein I have seen people who are on social media, they are trying to offer non-vegetarian thing to their ancestors. Please understand, they are those people who are working with negative entities which they might not tell you. So those non-vegetarian food is always offered to the evil entities, and it again depends on the consciousness level of a person. What I am trying to guide you, you are doing the ancestral healing and you have to avoid the non-vegetarian food completely. Neither you should consume it nor you should offer it to any of your ancestor or deity or gods and goddesses you work with. So if you are keeping fast, you can eat that same meal during evening time after doing the offerings. And what you can offer in that offering, it has to be proper home cooked vegetarian meal, a glass of water. If you wish, you can also add a coffee and maybe chocolates and anything else if your ancestors liked only in vegetarian food. You can light the white candle and any good fragrance of incense. You can go ahead with sandalwood or maybe rose or lavender would be better. You can also add white flowers on the altar which you are preparing for your ancestors offering. You can look at the video which I have shared in my shorts for that ancestral offering. There I've used white color cloth, and it has to be always white for when you're doing the offering for your ancestors. So whatever vegetarian food you are cooking for your ancestors, make sure there has to be some sort of sweet dish in that. And if you are aware about what your ancestors like to eat in vegetarian food or maybe particular type of sweet dish, you can definitely add that. And if you have any jewelry which you received from your ancestors, or maybe you received it through your parents which was used by your ancestors, then definitely you can add that jewelry on your altar table. So the video on offering for ancestor I have shared, there I've used purple candle. So I'm not a beginner. First of all, you are going to start it now. So you are being guided to use only white color cloth for altar table and white color candle only. It should not be other color of candles. So you can take your time. If you do not have it right now, first order it wherever you can order it, or you can buy it from the nearby store. But make sure the candle has to be white only. The utensils which you will use to offer food to your ancestors, make sure there should not be any kind of plastic. If you're using glass for water, it can be made up of maybe copper or maybe some other metal, but it should not be plastic. go ahead with glass material which we use it, the one I have showed in the offering video. And the plates you're going to use, it can be of metal or it can be of glass made plate. It should not be plastic at all. Make sure when you're cooking this food for your ancestors at home, there has to be complete hygiene. It has to be neat and clean food. Remember that ancestors are being like worshipped like god. In even in my country, in my religion, ancestors are worshipped before god. So you do not make any mistakes. Maintain hygiene while cooking the food. If you look at the video, that ritual video which I have shared for the offering of the ancestors, there I have kept the tarot cards of the ancestor tarot deck, because I was guided not to keep the pictures of my ancestors, because first of all, I only had one picture of the ancestor who I have seen in this lifetime. But then as I realized that there are a lot of ancestors who have been protecting me, guiding me since I'm born, even though if I came in such family which was cursed. So that was the reason I was guided not to use the real picture of the ancestors from this bloodline. So what you can do, if you wish, you can definitely use the picture of your ancestors if you have. And if you do not have, you can just write on like a paper that like as ancestors in English. That's it. And you can laminate that paper if you do not have a picture, and then you can do this offerings. There is no harm in that. Direction is very important when you're doing this offering to your ancestors. This has to be south direction. So your altar table has to be in south direction. So when you're doing the offerings to your ancestor, when you're preparing food on the altar table, you will be facing south direction. One more important thing to remember, a lot of people are not aware. They just start using metals unconsciously. That if you are using copper, any kind of maybe glass or bowl, then in that case you should not add any sort of sweet dish which is made up of milk. Otherwise it will turn out into be a poison. So remember that copper has to be avoided when you are trying to cook any sort of sweet dish made up of milk. So I went through spiritual awakening, and I did this first initial healing for my ancestors in 2020 itself. But then the entire curse was removed by end of 2023. So it took me 2 to 3 years time to remove the proper curse from the bloodline. Wherein, as I've already shared, that when it comes about healing the generational trauma or removing the curse from a bloodline, there are a lot of toxic patterns which you have to identify and break, and that takes time. And then once you start recognizing the patterns, then after some time you will keep on recognizing that there are more patterns. So that was the reason that it took me this much time, and it was not easy, because see, I was already heavily targeted by those entities from the other world because of being a twin flame. But then there were entities who were existing in the family because of this curse. So I was also targeted by them. So it was not easy. So I had to be very careful. And also while doing this offering, there were certain guidelines which I'm going to share in this video itself, so that you remember. So as I started performing this ritual on every new moon since 2020. And so the food I was offering to ancestors, I was not supposed to eat that food whatsoever. I was offering, adding into that altar table. So I was guided to offer that food, to give that food to either dogs or to cows or to crows. So these three animals can be offered the same food, the meal which you offer to your ancestors. Do not eat it if you know that you have come in a bloodline who has been cursed. Because see, you can only start eating this food once the entire curse has been removed, not before that. But you should not waste this food. The food and water you offer to your ancestors, it should not be wasted. Otherwise you will face the consequences. So once you're done with the offering, you can keep this altar table for 2 to 3 hours if it is the summer time, and then remove every item from that table, from that altar table. And then either you can offer the food same during night time itself, if you have dogs, or if you have those crows or maybe cows. Otherwise you can keep that food in fridge, and then next morning you can offer it to these animals, but it should not be wasted. And the water, I'm sure you will not be able to offer it to the animals. What you can do, you can pour it into the any of the plant, that there is no issue with that. So for almost 3 years, I kept on performing this ritual. I don't remember that I've ever missed it, till date. And once this, curse was completely removed, then only I was guided to start eating the same food which I was, offering to my ancestors. So now that has actually became the blessed food, and I was actually receiving it in form of, blessed energies, the food I offer to my, ancestors. So I was able to, take those entire meal whatsoever I am offering to my ancestors on every new moon. But then I was only guided to do this once the entire curse was removed. Another tip to remember, that when it comes about offering food, home cooked food, this has to be cooked by you. You should not ask anybody else to cook it and then you're going to do the offering. No, this is not allowed. You are doing this healing, you are doing this offering, so this food has to be cooked by you. So the glass of water you'll be adding, you'll be offering it to your ancestors, this has to be the same water which you drink it daily. One more thing to remember, when you're doing this offering, you should not leave your home. You should be there itself, wherever, whichever room you're doing this offering, the altar table, you should be sitting there till the time this, candle is completed. And once you are about to remove this, altar table, you should not leave the room. There are certain, things which you have to follow, because there are people who does this mistake, that they do this, they do offerings and then they are leaving, whether they are going outside for any purpose. So once you have done the offering, you need to be there for 3 to 4 hours inside your room. So prefer doing this offering during evening time. Most of the time you don't have to go outside, and even though if you have to go outside, you or somebody has to be at home. It should not be empty. So if you're using any other item to offer to your ancestors, like I used tobacco, so you have to discard that thing into the nature only. You don't have to throw it. So make sure that you remember that. So the table which you will be using for this, to prepare this altar, I have actually used a very small table because my other table was busy. Depends, which kind of, which size of table you have. It has to be either wooden or metal. This should not be a plastic table. First thing you have to remember. Another thing, you have to wipe it, properly with the water, and then smudge this table before you use it for the altar. Another thing to remember, that the utensils which you will be using, be it of glass or maybe any kind of plates or dish, make sure that this has to be only kept for your ancestor offering. No other use of this dish should be done, because maybe if you're staying with your family, and those utensils should not be used by any other family member. If there are people who are non-vegetarian or maybe not maintaining hygiene, so make sure to maintain hygiene. Keep those utensils separately for your ancestors altar offering. So once you have done all kind of offerings, like you have kept everything on the table, be it of the food and the water, the coffee for offering, and anything else, maybe jewelry, charms, or incense and candles, and anything else if you have added. So once you're done with this, you have to pray to your ancestors the way we pray to God divine. Then fold your hands and say to ancestors, dear ancestors, please accept this offerings from me with love and gratitude, and I am seeking your blessings and your protection. And then at the end you have to say to divine, dear divine, please bless my ancestors. So now you are done with this ancestral offering and ritual. This is the complete process. There are people who actually offer long prayers to the ancestors. If you wish, you can definitely go ahead with that. I was not guided for that. So there are things on advanced level, but this is the beginning of ancestral healing. So this ritual is for the second step which you have to perform, and this is the most easiest ritual. You all eat food, we all eat food, we cook it at home, and same way you can do it on every new moon, that too during evening time. Now if there is somebody who cannot do this altar preparation at home, who cannot do this offering at home, you can definitely cook this food and give it to some needy poor people who can eat it. You don't have to give this food to somebody who is just taking it and then throwing it. So make sure you have to give it to the right people who can eat it. Another thing you have to do some sort of charity on every new moon on the name of your ancestors. The best thing is to do the charity, and the best place is to do the charity to give it to some genuine animal care, who this actually exists and they are really genuinely taking care of the stray animals. There you can do any kind of minimum charity, whatever your pockets allow. You don't have to tell this to anybody how much you're doing this, and you don't have to tell anyone whether you're doing it every month or whenever you're doing it. Make sure charity has to be private. It should not be revealed to other people, but start doing it on every new moon, whatever your pocket allowed. So till the time you stay on earth, you are alive, you have to keep on serving your ancestors through this ritual. And new moon comes every month, it like once in a month. So till the time you are alive, you have to keep on doing this offering every month. In case your health is not allowing you, that is a different case. There you can definitely ignore it, or maybe if you're traveling. Otherwise you have to keep on performing this. There are several benefits of doing this ancestral healing ritual and offerings. Ancestor protection is one of the biggest blessing in humans life. Ancestors protects you from all sort of dark magic, black magic, and any kind of evil entities attack. So that is one of the blessing, and that protection is must for you. And another thing, you start receiving abundance into your life. If you were stuck and there were obstacles you were facing in your career, in your professional growth, you will definitely see a positive change once you have started doing the initial level of healing, and then you start doing this offering every month. You will definitely see a growth in your professional life. So as you are a twin flame, you will always be receiving guidance through your ancestors. And you receive any kind of help whenever you are in need from them. They are the ones who loves you a lot, and they are always protecting you. So never take their blessings, their protection for granted, because their protection means a lot. It saves you from lot of harmful events and harmful people. They are the ones who keep on telling you and alerting you about people who have bad intentions for you. In case you're not able to listen to your intuition, they will definitely guide you or distract you from those people. So, and ancestors do protect you during astral travel. What I realized, after my awakening, the astral travel was automatically increased a lot, and I was traveling into different realms and dimensions. That was needed for me because I was getting, a lot of information about breaking a pattern and looking at the history of my, the past generation of this bloodline, how the curse was formed. So these entities were trying to drag me, into the lowest realm wherein they were actually targeting. So when I was waking up after my sleep, I was not feeling well. So you are always protected even after sleep, because there are entities who target you once you're sleeping. And I have already shared several, I think, ritual how can you protect. So you cannot avoid any of them. You have ancestral protection, but you still need a lot of other things to practice for the spiritual protection, whether from black magic or from any kind of other entity attack. One thing I realized in my religion, I was always taught to do this offering to ancestors only during daytime, that too once in a year, wherein I realized that since I'm aware that my ancestors are with me, and they always accept this food and water offering from me at any point of time, and the best time has always been suiting me, it was only evening time. So that was just a myth, because see, when ancestors are with me 24/7, they are able to receive things what I'm offering to them. So make sure the evening timing is the best timing. But in case you're not comfortable doing this offering during evening timing because of any particular reason, if it is a family reason, culture reason, or any other reason, you can always doing it, you can always do it during daytime also. There's no issue with that. The initial level of healing I performed with the help of a priest, that I was guided to do it for 3 consecutive years. And before that time, I always used to tell my parents that do this ritual for the ancestral healing. So they never listened to me. I think this information I've already shared in my previous video. But then I performed this ritual with the help of a priest in 2020, and from next year my father performed the same ritual wherein I was not aware about it. So I realized when the bloodline is cursed, people will not be able to follow what you're trying to tell them. But the moment the bloodline is clear, they themselves will start doing all sort of this offering or any other kind of deity worshipping. So always remember, you only have to make changes within yourself. You only have to do it on your own. You don't have to ask other people to do this and that, and then later on people will be following which is meant to be followed in the bloodline, whether it is about doing offering to your ancestors or maybe worshipping the deity, the guardian deity. So these were the basics which you have to remember while doing this offerings to your ancestors. And in case you have any doubt, you have any question related to this offering or ancestral healing, you can send me an email, twinflamerealities@gmail.com. If possible, I will definitely reply you, or I will share a video on that particular question which might help other twin flames also. So this was about today's video. I will see you in another video. Till then, take good care of yourself. Bye bye.